Before we begin, we highly warn viewers to use caution. The information below is provided only for educational and entertainment purposes. This is the exact federal courtroom testimony in the Sean Diddy Combs trial. Inner City Press stated that the courtroom was agitated. Diddy sat at the defense table, gaze fixed on the floor, attempting to conceal the mounting strain surrounding him. The trial had already been a public fiasco. But what occurred on day 5 wrecked everything. Nobody expected 50 Cent to show up. Even fewer anticipated what he would say. But the minute I went inside those doors, everything changed. Cameras flashed, murmurs rang through the gallery, and Diddy's calm broke in front of everyone's eyes. For more than a decade, 50 Cent had been one of the few celebrities who publicly criticized Diddy. Now he wasn't simply trolling from a distance. He was entering the courtroom to stand behind Cassie. And his words were not intended to startle. They were for the truth. What followed sparked a wave of celebrities breaking their silence, secret files revealing, and an empire beginning to crumble. This is what happened when 50 Cent entered Diddy's trial. The 5th day of the trial was expected to be routine. Cassie was anticipated to return to the stand for more questioning. The defense had been rushing to recuperate after the previous day's damning film and emotional testimony. Diddy came with his legal team, accompanied by additional security, attempting to maintain a sense of control. However, there was a tension in the air, an energy that suggested something odd was about to happen. The rear doors of the courthouse opened, and in stepped 50 Cent. He arrived dressed in a smart gray suit and black spectacles, as if he were on a mission. The courtroom gallery stood motionless. Even the sound of papers shuffling ceased. Cassie's attorney turned to look. Diddy froze. Everything took a brief stop. Nobody expected him to appear. Not physically, not here. He'd been making waves online for weeks, posting cryptic comments, reposting old interview footage, and slinging shade. But this was different. This was a declaration. He didn't say anything at first. He just took a seat at the back, folded his arms, and gazed straight at Diddy. The prosecutors exchanged looks. The defense was plainly worried. One of Diddy's lawyers leaned in and hastily whispered something into his ear. But Diddy was not listening. He stared back at 50 as if he were witnessing a ghost from the past that he couldn't control. The judge recognized 50's presence without saying anything. She nodded gently in his direction before addressing the court as usual. But the tone had shifted. Everyone could sense something approaching. According to witnesses, Diddy's mood transformed instantly. His jaw tensed, and his hands, which had been folded quietly minutes before, jerked with frantic energy. He knew 50 Cent had not shown up to watch. He came to disclose something. When the lunch break was announced, media flooded the courtroom steps. Cameras were rolling. The microphones were elevated. Everyone waited to hear what 50 Cent would say. Then he spoke. "I'm here because I've seen this business support the wrong people for far too long," he started. "Cassie is courageous to do what she is doing. She is not alone anymore. Not while I am here." It wasn't just a soundbite. 50 laid everything out. He said he had seen Diddy's strange conduct for years. Things that made him feel uneasy. Things that others laughed aside. Things he now recognized for what they really were. Everybody knew something was wrong, he said, but they remained silent because Diddy wielded power and could end careers. He confirmed that he had been working with Cassie's legal team behind the scenes, providing documentation, old photos, phone records, and even a statement from a former bodyguard who claimed to have witnessed disturbing scenes at Diddy's private parties. And 50 said that he was weary of the silence. "I'm tired of being branded insane for speaking out when others won't." Then came the big shocker. He declared that he was sponsoring an independent probe, hiring private detectives to look into Diddy's background. He stated it wasn't for clicks, but because too many people had been hurt and were still terrified. Cassie's team issued a short statement praising 50 for his support, bravery, and trust in the truth. Diddy's attorneys, however, dismissed the appearance as a publicity gimmick and attempted to minimize its significance. But they were visibly shaken. Back in court, the tension was higher than ever. Diddy would not make eye contact with the audience. His fingertips tapped the table. His breathing became heavier. 50 Cent sat quietly, arms crossed, observing. The defense sought a private sidebar with the judge. Rumors circulated that they were contemplating seeking a gag order on public criticism, but it was too late. The headlines were written. The video of 50's courtroom speech went viral immediately. Celebrities who had remained quiet began to retweet Cassie's initial complaint, while others added cryptic notes. The wall of silence was breaking, and 50 was the one to throw the opening punch. Cassie returned to the witness stand as court resumed, but this time she wasn't going in alone. She walked taller, more poised and focused. It was a calm assurance that only comes when someone realizes they are finally being believed. The courtroom sensed the shift right away. Her voice, which had previously been steady, now had a determined tone. She did not just narrate recollections. She presented them as a warning. This was not just her testimony. It was a conflict. She acknowledged that she had communicated with 50 Cent's team, that she had exchanged texts, timelines, and recordings, and that additional witnesses had come forward after his public display of support. "I'm not scared anymore," she declared firmly, locking eyes with the jury. "Not when people are finally listening." She went on to detail instances that were previously too traumatic to discuss. One included a vacation to the Hamptons in 2017, when she said she was held in a guest house for 2 days after messaging a fellow artist. "He said I embarrassed him in front of the industry," she remembered. "He said I was his property." The defense disputed. The judge was overruled. Cassie also revealed the unwritten norms of Diddy's culture, where to stand at gatherings, who she may speak with, and when she might leave the room. It wasn't love, but control. Then came the moment when the whole room froze. She moved slightly toward the gallery, her gaze unwavering. "I know some of you here have witnessed what he's done, and I hope you'll speak out as well." You could hear someone breathing hard in the back. It was Diddy. His gaze was fixed on her, filled with something between bewilderment and rage. One of his attorneys put a hand on his shoulder. He did not respond. 50 Cent remained still, but his nod of assent was not overlooked. Cassie's story was more powerful than ever, not because of what she said, but because she was no longer alone. The presence of someone as well known as 50 Cent gave her statements weight, and the jury sensed it. Courtroom witnesses saw some members taking additional notes and leaning forward. During some sections of her tale, one juror shook their heads slowly. It was no longer simply Cassie and Diddy. It was 50 Cent and a tsunami of shifting public sentiment, slamming into Diddy's meticulously constructed business. The defense was unraveling slowly, openly, and painfully. Following 50 Cent's court appearance and Cassie's renewed, confident testimony, Diddy's attorneys seemed clearly perplexed. Gone was the polished legal machine that had strutted into court on the first day. In its place was a team scrambling to revise a strategy based solely on controlling the narrative and portraying Diddy as calm, professional, and misunderstood. Court insiders revealed that the defense held an emergency strategy session in their hotel overnight, reportedly lasting nearly 4 hours. According to leaked notes, they were contemplating whether to continue denying everything directly or to shift to an emotional plea, portraying Diddy as a product of his surroundings, a flawed man who made errors but did not deserve public crucifixion. This was a significant divergence from their previous stance of complete innocence. That morning, the prosecution took advantage of the commotion. They filed a motion to introduce additional testimony from 2 new witnesses, former employees who claimed to have direct knowledge of the events Cassie described in her testimony. One was a former tour manager who claimed to have witnessed Diddy shouting at Cassie behind closed doors before storming out and punching a wall. Another was an ex-assistant who had quit after being instructed to track Cassie's whereabouts and report back hourly. The defense protested. The court overruled, noting the importance of pattern conduct. Meanwhile, the jury paid careful attention. Juror number 7, a middle-aged lady who had remained expressionless throughout the trial, was now leaning forward, scribbling quickly in a notepad. Juror 11, a young man who had been distracted in previous sessions, maintained his focus on the witness stand. Diddy himself seemed to be unraveling. He stopped taking notes, began murmuring, and then muttering to his counsel. At one point, a court sketch artist saw him holding his head in his hands. This was not the same guy who had previously dominated the music business. This person was witnessing control go through his fingertips. Outside the courtroom, the backlash was quick and tremendous. Clips of 50 Cent's courtroom speech went viral on Instagram, TikTok, and X. In less than 12 hours, more than 60 million people had watched video of him supporting Cassie and accusing the whole business of shielding predators, like Diddy. For years, celebrities avoided mentioning Diddy's name. The murmurs were pervasive, but no one spoke publicly. Now the floodgates have opened. Usher, Diddy's former protege, secretly unfollowed him on Instagram that afternoon. Mary J. Blige, another long-standing collaborator, has deleted any images of them together off her grid. Justin Bieber went farther. He removed older tweets praising Diddy and posted a mysterious message that read, "Sometimes we learn too late who people really are." Within 24 hours, scores of musicians had chimed in. Cardi B said, "Protect women no matter how powerful the man is." Drake liked a tweet that read, "Real ones speak up, cowards stay quiet." Even superstars outside of music, such as Viola Davis and Gabrielle Union, expressed their support for Cassie. The most significant move, however, came from an unexpected source. A producer who had stayed unknown for over a decade finally spoke up against X. "I worked on 3 of Diddy's projects. I saw something. I stayed silent. Not anymore." That post alone had over 300,000 likes by the end of the day. According to insiders, senior officials at Revolt, Diddy's media venture, have begun convening emergency meetings. Advertisers were pulling back. At least 2 sponsors for planned brand events had canceled their contracts. One Revolt employee told a reporter, "People are jumping ship. Nobody wants to be the last one standing next to him when it all comes down." Despite this, 50 Cent continued to post. Each remark was planned. One posted a photograph of him and Cassie backstage at an award presentation years ago, with the phrase, "You always deserved better." Another simply said, "Yay 5, it starts here." The message was plain. He wasn't finished. Cassie's return to the witness stand was nothing short of catastrophic. It was her second time up that week. But this time, she didn't just talk about what had occurred to her. She revealed the mechanism that permitted it. Her tone was calm, but her words were dynamite. She described what she dubbed control architecture, which was how Diddy's staff kept her secluded. Cassie said that her calendar was well organized. She was not allowed to book her own travel. If she was seen speaking to another man in the music industry, someone from Diddy's circle would pull her aside and remind her, "Who made you?" She referenced one incident from 2016 where she said Diddy allegedly slapped a phone out of her hand after she laughed at another artist's joke during a backstage moment at an award show. He said I was embarrassing him, that I didn't know how to act, that I needed to learn respect. Cassie played an old audio tape over the court's sound system with the judge's permission. In one, Diddy could be heard shouting, "Don't test me, Cass. You know what happens when you push me." The courtroom became quiet. The audio had never been made public. Cassie's legal team said it came from an old cloud-synced iPad that she had forgotten about until earlier that month. The defense attempted to protest, but the damage had been done. Diddy's face became pale. One of his attorneys leaned down and murmured, but he did not answer. Another courtroom sketch artist recorded the precise moment he dropped his pen and gazed blankly at the audio player, as if it had betrayed him. By the time court ended that day, even Diddy's most ardent followers in the gallery were nervous. His public image as calm, collected, and in charge had officially collapsed. Cassie's second day on the stand demonstrated what everyone was beginning to comprehend. This trial was about more than just one relationship. It was about what happens when unrestrained power meets quiet. Day 5 was tense from the start. The media was talking over Justin Bieber's mysterious online statements the night before, and the building was encircled by security, as if something monumental was about to take place. Nobody was sure what was going on, but everything shifted. Abruptly at 10:13 a.m., that's when 50 Cent entered the courtroom. The courtroom. Not by a side entrance, and not with security protecting him. No. He entered alone, dressed in a sleek black suit and dark spectacles, and walked straight down the middle aisle as if on stage. He did not speak, even nod. But the vibe changed, suddenly. People who had been reclining back in their seats stood up, and phones that had been tucked away were abruptly taken out again. Reporters glanced at each other, wide-eyed. This wasn't just a courtroom. It was suddenly a scene. Diddy recognized him quickly. Witnesses said that his body language altered as soon as 50 came. His jaw stiffened. He leaned forward in his chair and mumbled something to his attorney. His fingers, which had been resting quietly on a notepad minutes before, pressed into the table's edges. The prosecutor also spotted it. She halted her pacing and let the minute pass before continuing, as if to accept that a new witness had not entered the courtroom, but a statement had. Cassie's gaze flickered to 50 Cent just once. Although there was no grin or reply, the occasion was not forgotten. The defensive team started scurrying, mumbling, and passing documents. Diddy himself looked back many times, apparently startled. And 50, he just sat there, arms folded, stone motionless. What no one recognized was that 50 was not just there to observe. He came to be seen. What transpired next was not part of anyone's plan. Not Diddy's, not the defense's, not 50's, but it altered the courtroom permanently. Cassie started sharing a poignant experience during her afternoon testimony. A 2018 incident occurred at Diddy's Miami residence. She recalled being kept in a secluded room for more than a day after being found chatting with another executive. But it was Diddy who couldn't sit still. As she talked, he started shaking his head. Then came the murmurs to his lawyer. Then came the bouncy leg. Then he burst. "That's not what happened," he said, pounding his open hand on the table. The boom rang like a gunshot across the courtroom. Everyone froze. Even the court reporter's fingers paused in the middle of typing. Cassie did not flinch. "Judge Harmon," increased her voice. "Mr. Combs, this is your only warning. If you make another outburst, you will be sacked." But Diddy refused to quit. His eyes moved away from Cassie. They centered their attention on 50 Cent at the back of the courtroom. "And you," he shouted and pointed, "you've been waiting for this, correct? You'll regret it." Security reacted swiftly. 2 security personnel closed in behind Diddy's seat. Someone moved between him and the gallery. The mood seemed tight, as if everyone expected the next moment to be much more intense. However, 50 did not answer. No words, no flinching, just a steady, purposeful shift in position. He reclined back in his chair, crossed one leg over the other, and gazed. Cassie continued to testify as if nothing had happened. Furthermore, the judge did not call a recess. She allowed the calm to linger in the air as she looked Diddy directly in the eyes and said, "Control yourself, or I will." That one sentence stung the most for a man who made his reputation by being in command at all times. As the day passed, the courtroom got more silent. Nobody attempted to speak out of turn. Even reporters, who sometimes snuck in and out for bathroom breaks, stayed glued to their seats. Why? Because for the first time in decades, Diddy didn't seem invincible. The explosion revealed something previously unknown. Not in interviews, conflicts, or even prior lawsuits. This was not the smiling millionaire or the calm businessman. This was a man decaying in real time. While Diddy was disintegrating, 50 Cent was thriving. Outside the courtroom, rumors were already making headlines. TMZ said that 50 Cent approached Diddy in court. Twitter was flooded with videos from prior interviews in which 50 had warned Diddy for years. Suddenly, what had seemed to be a little rap fight felt like terrifying premonition. A video from 2009 has resurfaced. 50 informs a host that he dislikes several features of Puff. That person keeps secrets. Those mysteries were suddenly emerging from beneath every stone. Diddy was silent inside. During breaks, his legal team called him and chatted softly. Yet, rapidly, Cassie's attorneys, on the other hand, were overjoyed. The star witness had remained calm throughout. Their primary opponent had fallen in front of a federal court. Even the jury seemed to notice. One elderly juror, who had previously taken detailed notes, now looked straight ahead with arms crossed and lips tight. Another wrote quickly as Cassie spoke, as if she didn't want to miss a word. 50 Cent sat in the back. At some point, court security inquired. So what do you think? Drop your thoughts in the comments section below. And if you don't want to miss out on the hottest celebrity news, make sure to subscribe to Daily Finder.